Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Draft Room. This is the NFL Draft Show of the Packernet Podcast Network. Appreciate y'all tuning in to check some stuff out. The goal of today is to be very similar to yesterday, and that is to go through wide receivers. What I would like to do is head over to our call-in line. I want to start the show with this so we can kind of do that. There aren't a ton right now. If we get to the point where there's lots and lots of draft calls, we'll do entire draft call episodes. But for right now, as there's dribs and drabs, we'll hit those up first. And then we'll move on to any news and notes and then our regularly scheduled programming. So, if you'd like to call in, the phone number here is 608-561-3243. Let's get started with, oh, by the way, let me know your name. Even if you're an old caller, it doesn't save your number. So, some of you I may know, I may remember. Otherwise, be sure to leave that. Otherwise, you will be left with me naming you, and nobody wants that.
Wait a second now. Where's the Packers pick in the first round? I'm confused, man. Go Pack, go.
There it is. Okay. I could see it in the transcript, and I'm like, where is the final part of this? Because I don't know who that is, I can't know if that's a joke or serious, so I'm not going to treat it like a joke. For those that don't know, the Packers do not have first-round picks this year or next year. I believe it was Packers Superfan had called or had sent me a message on X saying, when you do a mock draft, like a first-round mock draft, could you at least include the first picks of the teams that don't have picks, just to kind of include them in this? I think that's a good idea. We will do that moving forward when we do mock drafts. By the way, new callers, there's a rule, go to the front of the line. I don't have a name for you, so whoever that caller was from Wisconsin somewhere, you call back in and you get a free call to the front of the line. Right now, everybody's a new caller, though. And then we got good old Beer Cheese Benny. What's going on, Beer Cheese?
Brian, Beer Cheese Benny, losing my voice. I hope you can hear me. I hope I can project this voice like I normally do. But anyhow, I was just started listening to the Draft Room inaugural. Awesome. I'm glad you started it.
Appreciate you.
But here's an idea, brother. If we can get enough people from Packernet to make mock drafts, right? And what we can do is, once you get to the Packers pick, you kind of just take the culmination of everybody's drafts, kind of compare and be like, okay, everybody picked this guy. We will pick him for the Packers. And, you know, every week we can do one where you just kind of compare what people sent in. Like, you could be like, all right, guys, send your mock drafts in on Friday or something like that. And then Monday, this is hypothetical. I'm not saying you have to do this on these days. But you send it in, all right, and you look through all of them, right? And if you have a bunch of matches from Packernet, then Packernet collectively chooses that player. Now, I don't know how you would do it with rounds and everything. You'd be like, all right, well, this guy seems to be going, everybody seems to be picking this guy, and he's in the third round. Well, we're in the third round. The Packers are up. We pick him. I think that would be a great idea. Would love to see that done. And I think it would be fun for more people in the Packernet to get involved. And then, coming closer to draft night, we can have our final draft. And that'll be the one, like, this is what Packernet wants. You know what I mean? And we can all come together and have our own. So, let me know what you think about that. I hope you do it. You don't have to, obviously. I think that's a great idea. I'm going to go ahead and continue listening to this episode. Going to Walmart right now to get another car seat, which is going to cost me a freaking arm and a leg. I already know. But, you know, my wife and I have had one car seat from our son, and it's just been a hassle. I either have to take her car or we have to switch car seats. I'm like, I'm done doing this. I'm not taking your car. I hate your car, hate driving it. So I'm going to go get a new car seat, and then I'm going to make a mock draft. And by the way, on the site that you made, the Packers draft or NFL draft grades or whatever, if we make, I just want to clear something up. If we make a draft, does it automatically save and you see it? Because, to be honest, all I've seen on that is, and I don't understand really how it works. Like, it doesn't seem like you can save it, or like, I want you to be able to see it, and I'm hoping that that's how it is, or if it just automatically, you will see, I have an account and that I created it. So let me know. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you, dude. First of all, I like the thinking as far as the group Packernet stuff. I do want this to be, and it's difficult. It's so hard to get people from Facebook to Instagram, from Instagram to Twitter, from Twitter to the podcast. People don't like to move. I'm here. I don't want to go over there. Bring it over here. I don't want to do things. Nobody wants to do things. I learned that a long time ago. It's exceedingly hard. I don't know why, other than I came to Facebook to be on Facebook, not to be on Twitter. I don't know. But I do want this to be as interactive as is humanly possible. I'd like to have people involved, not just in calls, but in mocks and all this other stuff. That would be the ultimate goal. That's why I'm trying to do some work over on the Facebook group. I would encourage all of you, if you're in the Facebook group, to promote the podcast, promote the website, promote the mock drafts. I want us doing stuff together. We can do it in the group is fine, but, it's content that I could use here so that we're all kind of doing stuff together. If you're not in that group, I would encourage you to get in the group and then go participate over there. It's 30,000 people just posting mock drafts over and over and over and over and over again. I have done group mock drafts in that group before. It's kind of a lot of work, but, it's okay. The Raiders are picking. Who is your pick? And then we do voting or whatever. It's very difficult. It also got me thinking, by the way, as you were talking about another feature that would be cool. It would require a lot of people wanting to participate. It would probably work better if there was some kind of a live stream going on so that people could see it or whatever. But a way to sort of vote, so if we did like a Packers mock and we had 10, 15 Packer fans in there, everybody could vote on their pick. I mean, you could do that in the comment section, but it would be cool if it was visually represented, and then you can just kind of close the vote, and that's the selection for that person. It could be a, first 7-round mock or a team mock, or it could be anything. It's just a different way of doing a mock draft, is having people vote. But again, you would need people involved in that at that time and able to do that. I don't know if there's a way to integrate that into streams where if people just like it or something. I don't know. I'd have to look into that, but I think that could be cool too. As far as the mock draft thing, I mean, I'm trying to set it up to be, everything you can do on every other mock is available to you. As far as me being able to see it, my understanding of how you share mocks in any other mock draft is you would just, I don't know if you screen grab it or what you're doing, but I have a share button right on there. Can you save it? Yes. I don't know if that's a premium feature right now. There's a lot of premium stuff that is not paid right now just because I want people to go there, and there's not a lot of people. It's not going to really cost me any money for people to do stuff. But any kind of like saving feature, that's, taking up memory on the site, and that's stuff that I ultimately have to pay for. So that would probably end up being some kind of a premium. It's not going to cost a lot of money. Saving stuff on these things, I've learned, memory is very cheap. And this is mostly just, it's not like we're saving MP4s or anything. But I don't know if you can save it. And I don't know if there's a way for you to just share it. I could maybe work on that, setting up like a link. But again, most people seem to want to share graphics. Here's the mock I did, And again, or at least you should be able to see. I don't know. Again, it's kind of hard because I have the admin account, so maybe there's stuff that I can see you can't, but there shouldn't be. There should just be a share button. You can change the dimensions to be Twitter dimensions or whatever, and then it should pump out a graphic that you can download and share it wherever you want to share it. So I hope that answers your question. If there's any issues, please tell me, because I know what's going to happen is I'm going to say, hey, go check out the site. People are going to do it and be like, nah, this isn't as good as the other one, and just not tell me. Tell me. I want it to be the best one. I don't want you to go there just because, out of charity. I want you to be like, no, that's the best one. It has the best features. It's the easiest. It's the slickest. It's whatever. If there's another one that's better, tell me why it's better, and I will try to beat it. I want to absolutely have the best one with the best features and all the cool stuff. So There is a lot to play with, by the way. There are, again, a lot of admin features or paid features that are all free right now that you can go check out. You can tweak the team needs or whatever. So, you could have the Raiders drop their need for quarterback and they'll skip that, or you can force a player to fall. All different kinds of crap that you can do in there. All right. This should be fun.
This is Josh calling from HEB Curbside. I was calling to register your curbside order. Unfortunately, we need to cancel your order due to some unforeseen events that happened here at the store.
Wow.
And our store will be closed for the whole day today. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. I'm going to go ahead and place the order for cancellation.
Okay. Thank you, Josh. I think you have the wrong number, but I appreciate you calling. And if you have any other further draft questions, let me know. Thank you so much. All right, final call.
What's going on? It's your boy Chris from Alabama.
What's up, man?
Calling with a little, not with a little draft news, but just a particular quarterback that might be rising up the draft boards, and just wanted to give my opinion on it. I know a lot of people are saying that Ty Simpson is kind of rising up the draft boards, and honestly, man, it's giving me J.J. McCarty vibes.
Sure.
Obviously, we know McCarty started off as a early day 2 pick, early second round pick, and kept rising up the boards, and I couldn't really understand it at that time why he was rising so much up the boards. And Ty Simpson, it seems like he's trying to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, man, Alabama quarterbacks for me are something that I would definitely stay away from.
Sure.
Just
Like Clemson pass rushers, man. Just don't do it.
historically, they have not turned out to be good NFL quarterbacks. Alabama itself, that program keeps a stacked roster, especially at wide receiver. So that kind of helps those quarterbacks out. You know what I mean? If you're going to draft Ty Simpson and you're going to draft him with the thought process of letting him sit and develop, go ahead and draft him. But if you're trying to draft him, say like they're drafting Mendoza to be a day one starter, I would stay away from that. I mean, I get it. It's Alabama. It's a prestige program. And, we can just look at Bryce Young. Like, Bryce Young had improved last year, but honestly, has Bryce Young lived up to being number one overall pick?
No.
I don't think so. So, I mean, just be very, very careful of Ty Simpson. I think he should not be took in the first round unless it's a late first round, like 28 on down. I think he's a day 2 pick in my eyes, and I think he's going to be a project. I don't think he's going to be a day 1 starter. The only day 1 starter I believe that's in this draft at quarterback is Fernando Mendoza, and that's barely. But we can have a discussion about it. Y'all guys can chime in and let me know what you think about that. But I don't think anybody should touch Ty Simpson before the second round. But that's just my opinion. So talk to y'all guys later. Y'all have a good day.
Yeah, so yesterday I did the quarterback thing, and I don't know if you had a chance to listen to it. I think it came out after your call, maybe? I don't know. But because I'm just doing kind of my first run through and I watched one game, so it's excluding the run, it's like 15 minutes worth of tape. And I try to pick their best games. I struggled. I think I even mentioned on the show, I'm watching it and I'm going, I don't understand what we're doing here. And then eventually you get to the point where you see a couple throws where it's like, oh, maybe that's it. Maybe that's kind of the reason. But overall, I kind of get what you're saying. I struggle. It's not even so much that it's just the fact he's on the consensus board 17th. If you had told me he was a 3rd round pick, if he was hanging out with like Carson Beck, I would have looked at him and been like, oh, he's pretty good. This dude's, I could see the potential. I can see why you'd be interested in all that. Number 17, it does feel a little forced to me. And again, maybe I'm just not seeing all of it. I do think the one thing that I felt differently about watching him than what you said is I could see how teams feel he would be a day one starter. Not necessarily that he's the finished product. I don't know that a lot of guys are that. But just that he can come in and kind of run an NFL offense. He can go through reads. He can make, relatively easy throws or whatever. But man, and the J.J. McCarthy thing kind of makes sense too, because I think I highlighted a particular play, and it wasn't massively athletic or anything, but it was very creative. It was, rolling to his right, stopping, coming back, throwing across his body, and getting a touchdown pass. I saw J.J. McCarthy doing that stuff too, where it was kind of like, I don't get it. And then you see that throw and you're like, oh, he's got a little Mahomes thing going on there. Oh, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty crazy. Not that I'm ever really impressed with the Mahomes guys, because a lot of guys have that style of play. Very few of them end up becoming Mahomes. But I'm kind of with you. I'm kind of glad you said it. Because again, I don't want to be too definitive and be like, I don't get it, this guy sucks on my first walkthrough. I do that so many times, and then the second, third, fourth time you watch, or the third, fourth game you watch, suddenly something clicks, or you start to see this or that. That's kind of how it was with Matthew Golden with me. The first time I watched him, I'm like, I don't understand that at all. And then you kind of see, and I think part of it is you with Golden anyways, you get something in your head that he is the speedster or whatever. I'm like, I don't see freaking speed. I don't know what you're talking about. But then you start to look at him as a wide receiver. You see the route running and all the other stuff that he has that's really above average, especially when you watch a lot of other receivers. You can kind of notice the differences between them. I guess what I'm saying is I kind of get it, and I think I even mentioned on the show, if I was a team needing a quarterback, would I be excited if we drafted Ty Simpson? The answer is no. I wouldn't be. I'd kind of be like, well, freaking see how it goes, I guess, It just doesn't feel like there's a lot you can look at and go, this guy's special. There's no special here. It's just, can he efficiently operate an NFL offense is the only question, and that's just a we'll see. You don't know. But again, I mean, I'm looking at Garrett Nussmeier. I'm looking at Carson Beck and guys like that, and just thinking, is Ty Simpson that much better? And you can look at Nussmeier and some of these other guys, even Cade Klubnik. You look at him and it's like, yeah, I understand a little bit why there's some hesitancy, but it's like this guy came in as an elite player. And then he got injured and his receivers sucked and everybody around him sucked. And he had a bad year, and now what? He's garbage? I mean, it's pound for pound. Would you rather go all in for Ty Simpson or kind of pass on quarterback, take a guy like Klubnik in the 4th round, let him sit and develop, which you could do with Cole Payton and Sawyer Robertson and all these other guys too, let them sit and develop, and then just see what happens? I mean, I would rather just punt and grab one of these really high upside. I mean, the upside from Chambliss, Nussmeier, Beck, Aller, Robertson, Payton, Klubnik, all of these guys, Taylon Green, they all have this like upside that if they can sit and develop, and even Aller, he might not even need to sit and develop. It's just a question of like, is the lack of mobility going to be a severe liability? But that dude can stand in a pocket and frickin' throw strikes, man. If it's me and I don't have a top 10 pick, I can't get Fernando Mendoza. I think, that like, I mean, if the frickin' Jets are coming around and you can get a premier player with your first pick, on the second pick, do you take Ty Simpson or do you go out and get another freaking rental quarterback, which I just saw they're looking at getting, what's his name? Jacoby Brissett. They're looking to get. Fine, go get Jacoby. I'm going to take one of the top players with my top pick. I'm going to come back around, get another top player with pick, 16? And then I'm going to look to grab one of these other guys, depending on what style of quarterback we're looking for based on our offense. I'm going to get a Chambliss, a Beck, an Aller, a Robertson, a Payton, a Klubnik, a Green, whatever. I'm going to get one of those guys, and I'm going to let them sit, and I'm going to let them develop. That's just me. Okay, let's take a break. We got a lot to do and much less time now, but I really appreciate all the calls. I appreciate you guys supporting me. Make sure you get in the Facebook group. Make sure you go check out NFLDraftGrades.com. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. All right, so the plan today, there are so many wide receivers. I don't know if we can even do the top 100 today. We may have to circle back and kind of, I think we'll shoot for the top 50 because there are how many? There's 15 receivers in the top 100 looking at the consensus board. There are 8 in the top 50. So let's focus on the top 50, and then we can expand on that. By the way, I want to mention this as well. This is something I'm working on. It's not really worth subscribing to right now, but over at NFLDraftGrades.com, you can create a big board. And I think it's a great resource if you're interested in actually grading players and all that kind of stuff. What I have is the ability to, you can do as much or as little detail as you want. My son is doing very little. He has grades that are just grades. You put 55, 67, whatever, and then he'll put like a note. Or a couple notes in terms of his thoughts on that prospect. I'm going to build something that is much more detailed. It's got the overview. I want it to be like the Beast Draft Guide. It's going to have all the, I'm manually entering all the heights, weights, and all that stuff from the Senior Bowl, Pro Bowl, whatever, or not Pro Bowl, the Senior Bowl, East-West Shrine. And then the grades actually have a calculator. So what I'm going to do when I watch quarterbacks, for example, is I'll have accuracy, pocket presence, all these different things, and they'll have a certain percentage of the grade, and I'll enter a grade for each of those things, and it'll pop out a final grade. Those kinds of features are in there, as well as having a horizontal and vertical board. You don't even need to do anything. It's just going to be based on your grade. You just hit a little toggle, and it'll have all those kinds of things. So not only can you do that, which I would encourage you to do, it's completely free to do. Go hang out, build yourself a board. You can share your boards or whatever. If you want to, if you have an audience or anything like that, or you just think you can pull it off, you can create subscriptions. So people can subscribe to your board and you create some monthly income. My initial goal for doing this, is the fact that NFL draft people work harder than just about any other group of content creators. And if any of them make any money at all, it's once a year they put out a draft guide and they make a little pile of money and then they're done for the year. That's freaking crazy. So this will be kind of like a Substack. It'll be a monthly deal, and then people can use mock drafts. They can use your board, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, what I'm going to do is also create the ability to import emails. If you are a subscriber to my Patreon, a paid subscriber to my Patreon on any tier, I'm going to take your email, import it so you'll have access to my board and all that kind of stuff. So if you ever want to go back and look at any of the details or any of that stuff or get my thoughts on it, the games I've watched, you'll have access to all of that stuff. Okay, let us get started. And to be clear, because we're in the top 50, we're talking first and second round picks. For the Packer fans listening, the guys we're talking about might not even be striking distance for the Packers if they were to take a wide receiver, which I know everybody thinks they wouldn't. They would. Not a top priority at all, but, best player available and whatnot. So at exactly 50 is Indiana wide receiver Elijah Surratt. Elijah Surratt is their big X, physical, back shoulder, red zone, very impressive, imposing wide receiver. I don't believe he was at the Senior Bowl or East-West, so we don't have any official measurements, but the unofficial measurements we have are about 6'2", 210. And he's very much an underdog story. I went and watched a couple videos, and it was kind of during last season. It was almost like surprise. It was almost the talk of like, guys, like the Indiana receivers are actually good. Believe it or not, this guy's legit. Nobody's looking at him. Nobody's paying attention to him. Nobody cares. He's legit. Not only was he an Indiana guy, which apparently nobody seemed to care about, he was a 0-star recruit. So he legitimately came out of nowhere. He started off as a preferred walk-on at FCS St. Francis. He burst onto the scene as a true freshman in 2022 at St. Francis, leading the team with 42 receptions, 700 yards, 13 touchdowns. Got first-team All-NEC honors. So he transferred, because of his success, to James Madison for the 2023 season. He exploded as the Duke's top receiver, 82 catches, 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns, securing first-team All-Sun Belt recognition in their FBS transition year. After another portal move to Indiana in 2024, he adapted quickly to the Big Ten competition, got 53 receptions, 957 yards, 8 touchdowns, third team All Big Ten selection. So he just continues to impress at every step increase. 2025 elevated further on their national title run, 64 catches, 806 yards, and a team-high 15 touchdowns, including clutch red zone grabs in wins over Ohio State, Oregon, and Miami in the championship. His production peaked in high-stake games, like a 2-touchdown performance in the Rose Bowl against Alabama. Again, these are always things that click in my mind as well as a lot of other people's minds. Good players are good players. That's great. I love that you're a good player. How do you perform when the lights are on? How do you perform in the biggest games against the best competition? If we take a peek over at PFF, at St. Francis, which I'm surprised is even on PFF, he had an 81 receiving grade. James Madison, it was a 90 receiving grade. He takes a jump to Indiana. You would expect a big drop-off? No, 81.8, basically the same grade he had when he was at St. Francis. Then, in 2025, he had his second-best year compared to James Madison, but was a dominant football player. Again, the 824 yards, 12.9 yards per reception, which was actually his lowest, 15 touchdowns, 86 grade, 87 receiving grade, 81 drop grade, because he only dropped 3 passes, which is 4.5% of the passes thrown to him. 40% contested catch rate, which seems low, but he has a career average of 57.4. The thing that's most shocking is that the amount of opportunities he gets for contested catches. He's just getting jump balls all day long. He had 30 contested catch opportunities and caught 12 of them. I know a lot of people have referred to him as sort of a back shoulder savant. So I think there is a lot of just chuck it up to Surratt and see what he can do. And then obviously the touchdown production is also going to be massive as a red zone threat. He only had multiple touchdowns, which we'll pretend that that's not a big feat, in 4 games. But he had touchdowns in every game except 5. So he pretty much had a touchdown in every single game. As for my personal thoughts on the first watch through, I struggle to put him in the top 50. First of all, I really, if you're looking for a true number 1 X receiver, I wouldn't put him in that category. I think if you're maybe a team like the Detroit Lions, where you've got your star in the slot and you've got your speed guy over on the other side, and you're looking for an X that doesn't necessarily have to be a number 1, but he's going to help you on third down. He's going to block for a team that wants to run. He's going to help you in the red zone and all those kinds of things. It could make sense. I just, there's always a couple routes you look and go, oh, that looked pretty nice. But overall, and I found his best game against Iowa, is his highest graded game. It was fine. But I didn't necessarily fall in love. Solid role player. All right, let's talk Chris Bell. You want to talk big? Let's talk big. Again, I didn't see him at either East West or Senior in any of the weigh-in stuff, so I'm assuming he wasn't there, but 6'2", 220. He was a 3-star recruit from Greenville Christian School, ranked as number 124 wide receiver nationally, number 26 prospect in Mississippi by 24/7 Sports. He did suffer an ACL injury late November 2025 during a game, sidelining him for the final contest, likely impacting his pre-draft process, which is saying something because he's sitting at 47. I did see, again, just kind of doing a little bit of research, looking online, some people at the beginning of the year had him as wide receiver 2 coming into this season. I don't know. I'm actually surprised by that because this was kind of his breakout season also in 2025. But either way, just to give you an idea of the level of excitement some people have for this guy, and it's somewhat understandable. Bottom line, he is, and this always makes me nervous, he is kind of the Deebo Samuel type. That is his prototype. The reason it makes me nervous is because there are certain things when it comes to, I guess, layman's scouting, which is what I do. I'm obviously not a professional scout. But a lot of it is watching the traits and things like that, deciding, what looks good and what they can do and what they can't do. But if after you do it for several years, there just becomes kind of like Chris from Alabama saying Alabama quarterbacks or, like I said, Clemson defensive lineman type thing. There's certain things that just You know, I used to have an infatuation with these small, quick, twitchy wide receivers. They almost never translate in the NFL. And so I've kind of just gotten away from it. The Deebo Samuels, there's every class, there's at least one Deebo Samuel, and basically zero of them become good football players. Now, maybe that's a misapplied label, and he's more than that, or he's different than that, or whatever. But anytime I hear that label, Deebo Samuel, I just think it's not going to work. Could also throw him in the A.J. Brown camp, which is the another prominent comp for him. But if we take a quick peek over at PFF, again, 4 years at Louisville, his usage went up every year. So his total targets went from 12 to 43 to 62 to 106. So he was utilized more and more and more and more. Obviously, his yards also went up 105, 407, 737, and 917. His touchdowns went from 0 to 2 to 4 to 6, very linear. But also his grades. If you look at his overall grade, it went from 62 to 62 to 67 to 82. So it's kind of like wow. And the problem is even the wow is based on a handful of games. His grades week to week were 60, low 70s, 60, and then 70, 80, 80, 60, 60, 60, 60, 60. Basically, he's the same 60 guy, but he had a stretch of 3 weeks, weeks 5, 6, and 8, Pittsburgh, Virginia, and Miami, where he had 70, 80, and 80 that have really catapulted his grade up higher. So that in and of itself also makes me skeptical. Everybody is going to fall in love with this guy, with his tools and his traits, his power, his after the catch, and all that kind of stuff. There are just certain things that I'm seeing that make me worry a little bit. And yeah, after watching him, I think somebody would draft him based on the traits and the exciting after the catch stuff, the physicality. Maybe somebody a little bit more creative, maybe want to use him in the backfield kind of thing. Put him in some bunch formations to get him some separation and then let him catch and run. There was some surprising as far as how quick he is. And quick is probably the wrong word. Fast is probably a better word. And I think some of the fear is that ACL maybe makes it where you can't quite see where he's at. But again, I wouldn't necessarily say blown away. I think you get excited about some of the things he can do, very similar to Surratt, just in a different way. I'm not looking at him saying this is going to be a star receiver for us or anybody else, or he's the next Deebo or any of that. All right, then we'll do one more before our final break here, and that is Zachariah Branch, wide receiver out of Georgia, going the complete opposite direction with a smaller guy. Again, I don't have official measurements, but you're looking at around 5'10", 180. Very highly recruited, 5-star prospect out of Bishop Gorman High School, ranked number 1 wide receiver, number 7 overall player in the 2023 class by ESPN. Elite track speed, 10.33 100 meter, great return ability. Drew offers from blue blood programs like Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia before committing to USC. He was enticed by Lincoln Riley's offensive system and early opportunity. If we pop over to PFF here, you can see he spent 2 years at USC, and it was okay. His first year, 32 receptions, 320 yards, 10 yards per reception, 2 touchdowns, 69 PFF grade. Year 2, 47 receptions, 503 yards, 10.7 per reception, and a touchdown, 67 receiving grade. Then he decides he's going to go to Georgia. He did, by the way, while at USC, earn consensus All-American honors as a return specialist with the Paul Hornung Award for versatility and the Jet Award as the top returner. Decided he wanted a fresh start, went over to Georgia for 2025 in Kirby Smart's system, and that's where he absolutely exploded. He led the SEC with 81 receptions for 811 yards and 6 touchdowns. I believe that was a receiving record, by the way, for Georgia. Plus contributions on jet sweeps. He had 15 rushes for 94 yards and a touchdown, as well as over 400 yards in returns. His total college stats, 159 receptions, 1,634 yards, 9 touchdowns, with 1,338 return yards with 2 scores. He apparently has a verified 4.38 40 time. I didn't see any all-22 film, unfortunately, but it's not hard to see why the guy is exciting. Now, again, these are the guys I'm always a sucker for. These are the fast, twitchy guys that always seem to be able to get wide open. They're so hard to cover in space. I don't know why it doesn't translate more. It's kind of like guys with 4.25 40 times. It's like, why aren't they just elite players? Like, I don't know, dude. It's a football thing. But he is a Mecole Hardman type of football player. He's going to bring a lot. Obviously, it's going to depend on your team and what your team is looking for, whether you might have interest in a guy like this. The Packers, probably not. They've already got a Jaden Reed. They don't really like smaller receivers if they can get away from it. Returner would be great, but this early would be crazy. Couple potential fits here. First of all, it's worth noting, the Raiders make a lot of sense. Number one, because you're a team that's going out and getting a new quarterback, and the first thing you want to do when you get a new quarterback is get him some help. They need receivers, period. However, Branch is also a Las Vegas native, and he's the nephew of Raiders legend and Hall of Famer Cliff Branch. So that would be a cool reunion. Outside of that, the Chiefs, known for maximizing guys like this. Again, Mecole Hardman type of player. The Buffalo Bills need some receiver help. The Jets could use an explosive slot guy, as well as the Steelers looking to get Rodgers a little bit of help. I know a lot of people have been talking about Steelers wide receiver in the first round. It would be hilarious just getting Rodgers that first-round wide receiver. I did that in the mock draft. But if not, you've already got the big guy outside. Getting a quick guy inside couldn't hurt. Okay, let's take a break, and then we will rip through the final receivers. All right, KC Concepcion, also known as Kevin Concepcion. He is a similar receiver to the guy we just talked about in Zachariah Branch. Smaller slot type of guy. Expected height weight is about 5'11", 187. He's a young dude, 21 years old. He won't be 22 until the start of the NFL season. Rivals gave him 4 stars as a recruit, number 8 player in North Carolina, number 50 wide receiver nationally. Got offers from North Carolina, Boston College, Charlotte, Coastal Carolina, a bunch of different places. He ultimately committed to NC State, his mother noting the program felt like family. Wide receivers coach Joker Phillips was instrumental in the recruitment, forming relationships with the entire Concepcion family. The one thing I picked up on this guy looking around, he's very, very, very family-oriented. And that doesn't just apply to his family. He applies that to his team. When he eventually moved on to Texas A&M, there was videos of him. He makes food for the whole crew. He has his entire team over. They hang out. He cooks a ton of food. They eat. It's just it's his thing. They're like his brothers, and they spend time together like family, and he incorporates that. And he was the new guy. He showed up one year at Texas A&M, new guy, nobody knows him, and he's hosting these big meals and having everybody over and that kind of stuff. So he's got those kind of leadership qualities. He's got that sort of family mentality. Seems like a pretty cool dude. But freshman 2023, first receiver to start the season opener for the Wolfpack since Bo Hines in 2014. 71 receptions, 839 yards, 10 touchdowns, which is the program freshman record. Also added 320 rushing yards at 7.8 yards per carry, including a 65-yard run versus Wake Forest, which is the longest since 2015. ACC Rookie of the Year, ACC Offensive Rookie of the Year, freshman All-American. Sophomore season, 53 receptions, 460 yards, 6 touchdowns. Production declined a little bit as defenses kind of started to key in on him a touch, as obviously they're the guy that you have to watch out for. Decided to enter the transfer portal, headed over to Texas A&M. He was ranked as the number 5 overall transfer, number 3 wide receiver. KC chose Texas A&M over Alabama, Colorado, Florida State, Miami, and South Carolina to reunite with coach Mike Elko, who had recruited him at Duke. And you can see all this over at PFF. The first year at NC State had a 77 grade. That dropped down to a 60, and then he goes back to Texas A&M, and it's up to an 80. 101 targets, 61 receptions, 919 yards, 15.1 yards per reception, and 9 touchdowns. Those are highs almost across the board, one less touchdown than 2023. His drops are a bit of an issue. He has a 9.3% drop rate, which is kind of high. And it's actually a little worse the last 2 years. 2024 was 11.7%. 2025 was 10.3%. He had 7 drops in both seasons. But he's your prototypical small, shifty, great separation skills, explosive. He's got return ability. One good thing for him, though, is despite his small size, I don't see any injury history. So durability, I don't know how much longer you expect that to last, but it's definitely a positive. I saw somebody mention he's a 5'11" guy with 6'4" mentality. He also, like a lot of these guys, which is a new thing, comes into the NFL already a millionaire. Looks like he's going to make about $2.5 million from NIL deals just this year. That's crazy, man. And I'll tell you what, personally, again, he's been pigeonholed by a lot of people as a slot guy. I see a lot of Matthew Golden in him. And I know Golden was kind of the same thing. He's 5'11", whatever. The speed is absolutely there. The route running is really impressive. The hands are really impressive. Again, you come into it expecting to see this kind of small, shifty little slot guy. And I think the biggest jaw drops have been the route running and the hands. And there's been talk about his downfield production, despite the fact that he's fast. He doesn't have a lot of it. Bro, anybody saying that has never watched him. Every single time he's cooking people down the field and the quarterback underthrows him by 10 yards. I mean, he's got the guy beat by 10 yards. He has to stop and come back to the ball and let the other guys catch up, and he's just getting laid out. The quarterback doesn't have the arm to get it down the field. Next up, we got the big man, Denzel Boston, 6'4", 210 pounds. He is at consensus 24, very similar to Concepcion at 29, so back of the first round-ish. Boston committed to Washington in August of 2021 under Jimmy Lake and stayed committed through quite a bit, including Jimmy Lake's firing as well as being stuck behind guys like Rome Odunze, Jalen McMillan, and Jalen Polk, first, second, and third round picks for 2 years. In those 2 years, he only had 7 catches over 18 games and barely had any work with Michael Penix. Through that, though, 2024, he got his opportunity. 834 yards, 13.2 yards per reception, 9 touchdowns, 77 receiving grade. And then 2025, that all improved. 62 receptions, 881 yards, 14.2 yards per reception, 11 touchdowns, 87 receiving grade. From what I can tell watching the guy and looking at some of the stats and whatnot, he is a big man that plays like a big man. Sometimes you see these guys are 6'5", 215 pounds, whatever, and their contested catch rate is 20%. They can't block. They're just tall. They're tall people. But that doesn't mean you know how to use it. He is, first of all, 61% contested catch rate. He was 10 of 13 this past season, 12 of 22 the season prior. Just a 3.6% drop rate. So he's got big, strong hands, good contested catch ability. He also just has really good body control. He's not like one of these lumbering tall guys that, they stumble over their feet. He's up jumping, skying up for these things, twisting around, coming down on 2 feet and running. So he really uses his body well. He also is very consistently good. If you look at the week-to-week, his lowest graded game was UCLA, and he didn't play in that game. Outside of that, he had 0 games below a 60, which is the average mark. His lowest where he actually played was against Ohio State. He had a 61 receiving grade, 3 receptions for 26 yards. Otherwise, it was 70, 70, 90, 60, 70, 70, 60, 80, high 80s, 70, 60, 60, 70. So he's just good all the time. His named team captain in 2025 had a 78-yard punt return touchdown versus UC Davis, which, again, is not what you expect from a guy like this, but he's fluid for a tall guy. I think the only concern you're really going to have is he's going to have the DK Metcalf questions. Can he run a full route tree? Can he handle some of the more sharp routes, as opposed to just the go routes, the post routes? And he does well with that. He's a long strider. He can sail past people out there. I think outside of that one question, depending on how you answer that, I think this is a legit X receiver. This can be a legit number 1 guy. Potentially. I'm not saying he will be. I'm just saying I can see him not having the limitations that would remove that possibility. As far as injuries, he had an ankle injury against Wisconsin, missed the game against Purdue, had a double sports hernia in the offseason of 2025, missed spring practice plus 12 fall camp practices, underwent cleanup surgery for double sports hernia after 2024 season. He was carted off with that ankle injury against Wisconsin. It was on a punt return. As far as comps, I mean, you need go no further than Roma Dunze himself. Whether he's as good or not is kind of beside the point. That's sort of the kind of player you're looking at. And right now, Dane Brugler and Mel Kiper, I believe, have him as a top 25 prospect. Next up is Makai Lemon. I want to start off by just playing this. Todd McShay had this to say about him. Todd McShay is infatuated with him. His co-host kind of made fun of him because despite what he's about to say now, the comp that his co-host gave was Jalen Knoll, who McShay also loved and is very similar and did not turn out to be elite. But here is why Todd McShay loves this guy.
I'm starting to see in Makai Lemon what I saw in Lad McConkey, Emeka Ibuka, those guys who came in and immediately made huge impacts in the NFL because it translates. Thick, sturdy, route running, savvy, crispness, reliability for their quarterbacks, contested catches. That's the NFL game. You're not running away from DBs. You're not getting these huge passing windows created by scheme or your talent. You've got guys around you, draped on you all the time. You got to learn to win the margins and then to make the tough catches with guys around you, draped on you, the physicality. Lemon's got it. So on Saturday, you're going to be forced to watch it this week because they're playing Oregon and it's a big matchup in the Big Ten. But keep it in mind as the season progresses, just a couple more weeks. Like, this guy is must-see television.
So, Mr. Emeka Ibuka here, Makai Lemon, wide receiver, USC, listed at 5'11", 195, Los Alamos, California. Born and raised in Southern Cal. Football is his DNA. Father Michael Lemon was a 2,000-yard rusher at Lamirda High and played running back at UNLV. Mother Brady Lemon has been a consistent supporter throughout his career. His uncles, Tim and Jerry, were both standout players at Lamirda, with Tim Lemon being a second-round NFL draft pick. Couple notes from the 2025 season. In his game against Iowa, which is a rain game, he had 10 catches, 153 yards, and a touchdown. Field Yates said it was the most impressive game I've studied from any prospect. Number 6 is as good as I've seen going back 20-plus years. I don't know if anybody impacted the game more. You heard McShay talk about the game against Oregon that was coming up. In that game, 7 catches, 34 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, plus 1 passing touchdown. The only injury that I was able to find is that he had a concussion in 2024 on a helmet-to-helmet hit. He was hospitalized overnight, but did return. No major red flags. He did sit out the first quarter versus UCLA in 2025, along with teammate Jacoby Lane for quote-unquote violation of team policy. Don't know much beyond that. He is number 13 on the consensus board right now, so McShay had him at 12, and the co-host said that he thought that was crazy, but that is pretty much the consensus right now. Seems like the most popular comparison for him is Amon-Ra St. Brown. A lot of the teams that make sense are going to end up being the same teams that we've been talking about that need receivers. Obviously, the Steelers would make a ton of sense. Physical slot guy that can thrive in cold weather, opposite DK Metcalf. You could pair him with Teteroa McMillan in Carolina at pick 13, which is kind of his range. The Ravens are sitting at 14, would make sense. The Jets possibly at 16. But if we pop over to PFF, 3 years at USC, year 1 didn't really play. Year 2, he went up to 67 targets. In that, he had 764 yards, 3 touchdowns, 85 PFF grade, 3.03 yards per route run, which is remarkable. His drop rate is 1.9%, contested catch rate 46%. Then 2025, he nearly doubles his targets, has 79 receptions, 1,100 yards, 14.6 yards per reception, 11 touchdowns, 91 receiving grade, a 90 drop grade because he had 4 drops in his 3 years. 2.8% was his career average, and his contested catch rate was 10 of 15, which is 66.6%. He had a 57% contested catch rate through college. But, yeah, very, very, very good player. He did have one low grade, which was against Nebraska. 4 targets, 2 receptions, 53 receiving grade. He had 1 drop in that game, which is probably the crux of it. Otherwise, it's mostly 70s and 80s, with his best game via the grade coming against Illinois. 11 of 16, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, 91 grade. Watching his game against Northwestern, you can definitely understand the appeal. He's a bulldog. He's a sharp route runner, but he also is just unaffected by contact. He fights through contact. He fights through tackles. He's going to be a fun one to watch for sure. That brings us to the number 2 guy, and it's very close. It's actually relatively close between the top 3. Carnell Tate is at 6. Jordan Tyson is at 9. Makai Lemon is at 13. So I'm sure you're going to see some divergence in this. I know some people have Jordan Tyson as their top receiver. Whatever. Listed at 6'2", 200 pounds. Comes from an extremely athletic family. His father is John Tyson, played college football at Florida A&M, highly recruited. His career did get cut short after a few years. Later served in the U.S. Air Force. Mom was also in the U.S. Air Force. His brother, Jalen Tyson, 20th overall pick in the 2024 NBA draft by the Cleveland Cavaliers. He has another brother, Barron Tyson, played college football at South Alabama. Now serves as Associate Director of Sports Performance at Austin Peay. First started off at Colorado, 23 receptions, 466 yards, 4 touchdowns, 72 PFF grade. Transferred to Arizona State. Didn't really play in his first year, but in his second year in 2024, he had arguably his best year. 75 receptions for 1,098 yards, 14.6 yards per reception, 10 touchdowns, 80 PFF grade, 83 receiving grade, 3.04 yards per route run. 2025, he had a little bit of an injury issue. In fact, he's had quite a bit of injury issues, which is going to be something that kind of weighs on the evaluation here. 2022, he had a torn ACL, MCL, and PCL, really, really bad knee injury. 23, he missed most of the season rehabbing. 2024, he had a broken collarbone in the regular season finale, missed the Big 12 championship. 2025 had hamstring injuries, missed 3 games, knocked out of the Territorial Cup. 18 total games missed due to injury over 4 years in college. Has never played a full season at either Colorado or Arizona State. That's very big. Now, they did talk a lot about how he bulked up in 2025, and that kind of worked to his advantage, and people were excited about that. He gained some muscle. He didn't really lose any explosiveness or anything like that, which is great. And he didn't have any kind of catastrophic broken bones or torn ligaments, but he started having hamstring issues, which, potentially could be a result of the bulking up. We saw sort of with Christian Watson, he started having hamstring injuries, and they found out that it was a lot of, misaligned muscle, this leg stronger than this leg kind of thing. So it's entirely possible his body just isn't used to carrying that much weight, and maybe it just isn't being carried properly. He just kind of slapped the muscle on there. So that's going to be a big issue, getting him in the building and trying to keep him healthy, especially if you're talking about a top 10 prospect. One of the biggest things they always talk about at the combine is that it's not, the 40-yard dash and all that is kind of for the fans and whatnot, not as much for the teams. The biggest thing that the teams care about, and every single one will tell you this, is that it's the medicals. And so the medicals for Tyson are going to be massive. The teams are going to get in there and get their hands on him and see what they think about him and all that kind of stuff. So the big thing with Tyson is going to be the route running. He is your, elite route runner. If you're feeling okay about his medicals, I can understand a team going pretty early on him, because just based on that, how smooth and sharp he is, I would struggle with Jordan Tyson. Part of it, I honestly don't even know what it is. Something just seems off. His spacing seems weird. His footing is not necessarily elite. He doesn't seem very smooth. He's not going to break a lot of tackles or do much after the catch. And maybe none of this matters because at the end of the day, he's able to get open and catch the ball when it gets thrown to him. And there you go. But even with that, there's the injury things. I mean, I'm watching, the heck game is this? Against Texas Tech. Halfway through the game, he goes down. He comes back in the game, but it's just like, I don't know. Top 10 is tough. Real tough. And I think if a team that I was rooting for was picking in the top 10, I feel like there would be better options. Not even necessarily better players, just the injury stuff alone is enough for me to say I think we need a more sure thing if you're picking top 10. All right, Carnell Tate, top dog, currently number 6 on the consensus board, listed at 6'3", between 195 and 200. He originally grew up in Chicago, Illinois, on the west side, very, very bad part of town. In fact, his mother, Ashley Griggs, was killed in a drive-by shooting in 2023. She was described as his best friend. He said, "I felt like my world ended. My mom was everything to me. We used to talk 4 to 5 times per day. Then it felt like my world had just ended that night." Tragedy occurred just weeks before his freshman season at Ohio State. Just days before her death, Ashley had posted on social media a screenshot of her son's Ohio State jersey for sale, saying, "The wait is finally over." After every touchdown, Carnell blows a kiss, his way of telling his mother he knows she's watching. Plans to major in business and finance. He is a multiple-time academic All-Big Ten honoree, first team academic All-American in 2025, OSU scholar athlete every single year. He's a 5-star recruit. 24/7 had him 62nd overall, 10th wide receiver nationally. Originally went to Marist High School in Chicago before going to the illustrious IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. His rookie season was the year that his mother passed away. His 18 receptions as a freshman topped the freshman seasons of Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, which was remarkable given what he was going through. He was also OSU Scholar Athlete, 2024 Big Ten Conference Distinguished Scholar, Academic All-Big Ten, OSU Scholar Athlete, and National Champion. 2025 OSU Scholar Athlete, Academic All-Big Ten, First Team Academic All-American, Second Team All-American, and First Team All-Big Ten. I think ultimately with Tate, you probably are a tick down from Jordan Tyson when it comes to the route running. But what you get is something a little safer. First of all, if you're not taking the Ohio State wide receiver because you think maybe somebody else is going to be better at this point, you just haven't learned your lesson. But, I mean, Tate just checks all the boxes. Got a good release, smooth route runner, more than enough speed, great hands. I mean, even amongst a solid group of wide receivers, in other words, he has competition around him at wide receiver. He had 3.02 yards per route run. His drop rate this past year was 0 because he didn't have any. His career drop rate is 4%. He has nearly a 70% contested catch rate. That was 86% this past year. He was 12 of 14. He had an 89 receiving grade this year. Almost perfect season. He had one game that was graded poorly. He had 8 targets, 3 receptions, 37 yards, 57 PFF grade, which is just barely below average. Otherwise, it was 68, 70, 73, 73, 74, 75, 77, 77, 78, and then an 85. Now, you could just pencil him in for a 75 PFF grade every single week. So, is he this shocking, never seen anything like this in my life type of guy? No. I think it's very similar to what you have with Mendoza. Easy to see why he's the top guy. Safe, checks all the boxes. If you need a wide receiver, I get it. Honestly, if it's me, I'd probably put Makai Lemon ahead of Jordan Tyson as well. The injury stuff just has me nervous. But I think with all of the first-round picks, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, Makai Lemon, Denzel Boston, and Casey Concepcion, I would be happy with any of them. So, anywho, I'm going to get out of here. Y'all have a good rest of your day. Feel free to call in with any thoughts on the wide receivers, any thoughts on the quarterbacks, and then tomorrow we'll probably do tight end, would make sense. Tight end or running back, one of those two. So, any thoughts on those as well, feel free to get your calls in. Otherwise, I will talk to you tonight, tomorrow, whatever. Have a good one. Bye-bye.